What's going on, everyone? So today I want to cover, because we know everything is essentially tied to politics, but I want to break down some things that I actually revealed in my one of my last videos, talking about how I will not be buying the British pounds, right? Investing in their futures, uh, options, no matter the financial vehicle, I would not be supporting the British pound because we understand that it dropped down to $1.07. This is pertinent because somehow they persuaded the banks of Europe to buy their UK bonds, which help support and stabilize their economy even more so, and raises the British pound, making it more valuable, of course, more than a dollar. And this is how, in these financial systems, how they control their own money. When I talked about monetary sovereignty, meaning that these Western European countries that don't really have any resources can really never go broke because they control the entire globe financially, because in the system of white supremacy where there's Western powers that are more powerful than any other countries in the world, then who you think will retain wealth according to their standards? But anyway, and of course the euro rallied back after the Bank of Europe did that for the British pounds. Let's move on. I'm giving you guys some quick updates before we get into the heart of the video. FYI, U.S. mortgage rates rise to 6.5. So unless you're an investor, most people will not be buying a home at this time. It's just too damn expensive. I know a lot of you have been thinking about buying a home here of late, and you thought the market was going to cool off, but now technically the real estate market has cooled off a little bit, but we're still in a recession and inflation is still high. Thus, the U.S. mortgage rates are now rising again and jumped to 6.5%. Let me tell you why that's important as well. I bought my home 2 years ago. My interest rate on my loan was 2.25%. Yes, and you're saying, damn. So that's very important. And we have to understand compounding interest if you get a loan like this. Now, this is 100% disrespect. Let me get up here. So President Joe Biden mistakenly called out for the late Republican Jackie Walorski, the Indian Republican who died in a car crash in August, while giving opening remarks at a White House conference on hunger, nutrition, and health. So everybody's stating basically that Joe Biden is senile because he's naming people who are passed away, 2 months ago or so. But nonetheless, that's just them. Hey, he can't know everybody, right? Now, this is the second, and it gets me angry, family, because if you notice, the president continues to approve millions and billions of dollars to fund a war that's not even in the U.S. But we have U.S. cities, we have U.S. states that do not have adequate and safe drinking water. This is straight up disrespect. This is not disrespect to those states who needs the help of the United States of America. No. It's to us, the American people. You know why? Because regardless if your state has taxes, everybody has federal taxes. Everybody has to pay their percent, their amount to Caesar in order for this company to operate. But in these cities, the company is not operating because those citizens in America is the 8th richest country in the world. Granted, there's over 200 countries in the world. They're the 8th richest, and everybody comes to America. But in these cities in America, we don't have safe drinking water, but you pay federal taxes. But he can give your tax dollars. He can give your tax dollars to an entire different country. Think about that, family. If it doesn't matter if you live in those states. It doesn't matter if you have family there or not. It doesn't matter if they're white or black. It really doesn't matter at this point because it's straight disrespect on this president and this presidency. Because there's a couple of white cities, not as much as black cities, that don't have safe drinking water either. But your federal tax dollars, where do you think you're getting the money from? Where do you think he's getting the fucking money from? Huh? Where do you think he's getting it from? He's getting it from our federal tax dollars. That's where he's getting it from. That's where he's getting it from. He's saying that people in another country are more important than the people who voted him in. That the country he represents. That's straight disrespect, family. And I'm going to tell you why this is important, right? I'm going to tell you why this is important. When I looked up this list, United States of America, this is coming from worldatlas.com. United States of America is the 8th richest country in the world. We are, and we have the strongest and most powerful military in the world. So riches and power are different, but riches can buy power. Most people who are powerful are, listen to this. This is crazy. If you have riches, then you can become powerful. But you never seen too many powerful people walking around who wasn't rich. Think about that. And there's something else to put into perspective. We're the eighth richest country in the world. Excuse me, I'm stuttering there. And it says with resources, rich land, and biggest economy in the world. So we're the 8th richest in the world, but we are the biggest economy in the world because everything comes through the United States of America. It says has a strong purchasing power. It supplies its energy and can export oil, gas for profit. Listen what they're saying, that we have oil and gas for profit. But I saw in another news story, Joe Biden was like, he's asking gas companies not to raise their prices or oil companies not to raise their prices. But this is what the world is reporting on with America. It also states, as relative deregulated market economy with a decentralized political system, they are virtually no state-owned enterprises, meaning everything is small or big business. And the legal system protects the liability of investors. The legal system protects the liability of investors. Although such stats attract talented people worldwide to take a shot at earning a fortune, it remains one of the top countries where the wealth is not shared equally. Listen to that, what they're saying, where the wealth is not shared equally. America has an entrepreneur mindset. And family, just stay with me here because I'm going somewhere. I have to point these things out because as I was stating before, how $1 billion, this is probably like 2 or 3 billion we didn't send to Ukraine. But see, when they say billions of dollars, family, do not forget, we're not only giving them money, we're giving them weapons and equipment. So tally that all up. We're probably already 10 billion in because they're just letting you know how much money we're giving. They're not telling you the military equipment we're giving them because, that's OPSEC, operational security. They're not going to let you know that, but they're giving that away. Stay with me. Here we go. 12 cities with the worst top water in the United States of America. 12. You probably thought it was Flint, Michigan, and Jackson, Mississippi, and maybe 1 or 2 others, right? No, 12, right? And they're talking about how the water is coming out like sludge. It's coming out like, someone took a crap in it. Then it says millions of people are exposed to unsafe drinking water everywhere in the United States of America. Okay. Let me get to a family. Pittsburgh. Officials said they've been accused of downplaying the threat of lead contaminated water. That's Pittsburgh. Milwaukee. Okay. Milwaukee tested positive for lead in their water. And believe it or not, there's a large, I didn't know this living in DC at the time, in my earlier years, that Milwaukee has an enormous Black population. We're talking about, I think it's at least 30%, which is a large portion to have a population. Okay. That's a little bit less than a fourth, almost a third of the population. So that's a large population. That's majority Black, and their water's jacked up. We already know about Flint, Michigan. Their officials still aren't sure if the water is safe. What are you talking about? See, fam, are you listening to this? Okay. I used to be a chemical specialist, and we've tested, safe drinking water. We have all these different valves and petri dishes. We do all these things either on a microscope or in tubes or in modules, right? So I know some of this stuff, so to speak. And there's really nothing that we can't test to let us know if the water isn't safe. Meaning, what the hell are they talking about? What do you mean you're not sure? There's tests. There's complex machinery that examine molecules in water. Like we have people have this in their cars, the HHO separator, right? Where they can actually separate the hydrogen gas from oxygen that creates water, but they're taking the oxygen gas to fuel their cars. You think we don't know if water is safe or not? This is the hell what I'm talking about, family. This is exactly what I'm talking about. We're sending billions of freaking dollars over to Ukraine, but we can't even support our states and cities here. And we're going to get to the nitty gritty because for a very long time, I keep hearing people, and I was like, well, you know what, Ray, you need to do the research. You need to do the research that the poorest states in the country are Republican, right? We know that Democratic-led states have some of the poorest cities, but someone's stating that the poorest states with an S, not just Mississippi, are Republican. And I just had to do the research. We'll get into that as well. The Flint crisis have been spilling over into Detroit public schools. So now we're dealing with two highly melanated cities, Flint, Michigan, and now Detroit, Michigan. And what they mean by, they call it spillage. The water crisis in Flint is now contaminated the water in Detroit. That's all that means. Let me move on. Newark lead contamination is at an all-time high. And look, News Insider, boy, I tell you, these large white mass media news organizations drive me fucking nuts. Think about this, family. They put Newark lead contamination not at all-time high. They put a Black man up there to let us know that Newark has a high Black population. Let me move on. I tell you, DC, where I was born and raised, and at the time was Chocolate City, 70% Black. But now I think it's around 40% Black. Okay, so they're not the majority anymore, FYI. But nonetheless, they have contaminated waters for the past 20-something years. And this is where the White House is. This is where the monument is. This is where the Capitol is. You think the president drinking tap water? Who do you think drinks tap water, family? Who do you think drinks tap water? Now, not too many people, but back in the day, we all drank tap water. And then when people say, oh, well, the water is bad and this water is good, and we have thousands of water companies, now all of a sudden the tap water is bad. No, it's probably been bad the whole fucking time. We all used to drink tap water. And then all of a sudden we only drink bottled water now. This shit is ridiculous. I just want you to think about it. Yeah, I got a potty mouth today. Excuse my potty mouth. I don't usually curse as many times, so I apologize. Baltimore, they show black kids in the street dancing or playing ball rather. But see, they won't connect the two news stories together. Have you noticed that, family? Let me finish. I'm gonna bring that to you guys' attention. This is California. They got chemicals in the lake. Charleston, West Virginia. They have somewhat of a high black population, literally like the only in the state other than Bluefield. Okay. Let's see here. Newborough in upstate New York, state of emergency, contaminated water. Right? These are unpopular. Tap water in Miami, Florida contains forever chemicals called PFAS. Forever chemicals, meaning because they're forever chemicals, regardless of what they do, they cannot extract the chemicals out of that water. So what is that telling you? If this is a drinking water plant, you literally have to dump all that water and start all over again. They have to, but I'm pretty sure they won't, because it's probably millions of gallons of water. But nonetheless, if you have forever chemicals in there, you have to dump all of that water. It's contaminated forever. That's the whole point. Then they have to clean and sterilize every piece of equipment that forever chemical was on, right? We talked about spillage. We talked about cross-contamination. This is what you need to understand. And guess what? If that forever chemical mesh with the metallics in any of those metals, then you have to throw all that shit out as well. And more times than not, because of forever chemicals was in the water, technically they will have to replace every single machine, apparatus, whatever they may have, so they can filtrate the water. They will have to replace it all. And we're talking about, depending on how big it is, millions and billions of dollars. But what does that fucking matter? Because we already gave Ukraine $10 billion. Who cares about American people not having safe drinking water to wash their ass, to wash their hands, to cook with, and even to drink, when you're the 8th richest country in the world and the most powerful military in the world with the biggest economy in the world? Think about that. I just get a little passionate sometimes. I mean, this is the basic essentials of living. Drinking water. Let me move on, family. Oh, this is what I wanted to point out. They have yet to combine Ukraine. Biden sends Ukraine $1.1 billion, and these 12 cities in America do not have safe drinking water. You never see they combine those two stories together, have you? That's because all of these mass media sites are in bed with some lobbyists or some political party, either the right or the left, the up or the down, the red or the blue. It don't really matter. They're in bed. So that's why they never combine stories to have you to make a connection. Like, wait a minute, hold up. Why are we sending billions of dollars to Ukraine and we have all these American cities without safe drinking water? And we're not talking about small cities, family. We're talking about Detroit. We're talking about metropolis. We're talking about big cities, Detroit, DC. And DC is the big little city. Okay. Milwaukee, Miami. These are huge cities, family. And the reason why a lot of us don't really notice it, because we all drink bottled water. But now think about this. They're using water for everything. What if you had to go out and buy your own water to take a shower? That's how contaminated the water is. Some of them can't even boil the water and it be safe. I'll get off of it. So I thought it would be important to show you the poorest states in the union, the poorest state, the United States of America. Now, I'm going to go over these things very quickly. It states here in 2022, the poverty guideline for a single member household is $13,590. That's basically what they're saying. You need to at least make in America to, I guess, survive. That's no money at all. It says making the poverty guideline for a two-person household $18,310. Okay. So now we have that baseline. We have that foundation. Poorest U.S. states, Mississippi, number one, right? And Mississippi is ran by this fellow right here, Tat Reeves, who is a Republican. So the poorest state in America is Mississippi with a Republican ran governor. And I told you this before, family. The Democrats, the Republicans, and the American people, we're all playing tennis. We are all playing tennis. You have, while we're operating on the tennis court, on the left, you have the Republicans. On the right, you have the Democrats. I know I mixed them up. Think about it. And then in the middle, as the net, you have the independents. Then who do you think is the fucking ball? We are the ball, family. We are the ball. These political parties are playing tennis with us, and we're the ball. They stay in place while they hit us over the net. The poorest state in the United States of America is Mississippi. Some people are like, yeah, I knew that. You would say majority or all of the poorest states in America are Republican, right? That's essentially what we've been told by mass media. Let me move on. I don't think we really need to get into the numbers with this, so I'm just going to go through. The next poorest state in America is Louisiana. You can look at the numbers for yourself. Look at the median household income. That's no money at all. This was what, $45,000, and this is 51. And when we look at that governor, it's a Democratic ran governor, John Bel Edwards. So far, we tied up 1-1 with the poorest states in America. One Republican, two Democrat. Or, the second one I went over was Democrat. Let me go back. New Mexico, 51,000 as a median income. It's the third poorest state with a Democratic governor, female governor, Democratic governor. Okay. So Democrats has two, Republican has one. Stay with me. Next state, Arkansas. Arkansas, one of the poorest countries in the United States of America. Let me see here. Governor of Arkansas, Republican Party. So far, 2-2. One of the poorest states in America is West Virginia, as our last one that we're going to go over. And Republican Party. So Republicans 3, Democrats 2. So we toy back and forth with, they have the poorest state. They have the poorest states. No, they kind of go hand in hand, family. That's why I don't pick a political party. I stay apolitical. Because I really think you muddy the waters when you pick one side and you have to essentially agree with all they do and all they say, even though you may not. But when you vote, you do. I have a question for you guys as well, too. Now, we understand that the GDP, abbreviated for the gross domestic product, and it states here that it measures the monetary value of final goods and services. That is, those that are bought by the final user produced in a country in a given period of time, right? Basically, is measuring the amount of business that you are conducting, right? Buying and selling, importing and exporting. That's all that really is, okay? They just talk like that to fool people and make it, I'm very intelligent. But let me show you this, family. Can I show you the richest states in America? The richest states in America. This is why research is important. The richest states in America are Massachusetts, Maryland, Illinois, California, Florida, Texas, New Jersey, and Hawaii. When I was in DC, I thought Texas, even though I saw a show when I was young with my, mother and aunt called Dallas. And I never put the two together because even back then, Dallas had large, business organizations and all that right here in Dallas, so to speak. But I thought Texas was poor because most of their movies, people was riding horses and riding on bulls. And I'm just thinking, they're country, they're hick. And then I come down here and I start to look at the landmass of how Dallas is a big city, big organizations. Houston, right? Austin, San Antonio. These are large cities, family. So it makes sense that Texas is number 2 of the richest states in America. And California is number 1. And last but not least, Florida is number 4. I know I skipped over New York because what I'm showing you is even at the top, we know that California, I believe, is ran by a Democrat. Texas, Republican. New York, I believe, Democrat. Florida, Republican. And we know for quite some time now that Texas and Florida are some of the most populous states because their governors are so radical. They just make these rash decisions and put them into law, like sending illegal migrants to all the Democratic-ran cities and states. Right? And I know in the thumbnail you guys saw the little quote I had at the top. You know where that came from? That came from the Statue of Liberty. Remember this? Give me your tide. Let me get this off the screen. Give me your tide, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretch refuse of your teeming shore. So America was essentially in the Statue of Liberty. I believe that was adopted by what, France, was it not? They were asking for countries to send their poor people over here. Now, what you have seen lately is a lot of people in war-torn countries seek refuge in the United States of America. Now, I really want you guys to imagine a world where everybody just stayed where they were. Like if you was born in that country, you just stayed there. You traveled, you vacation, but you never moved to another country, right? Who thinks America will become overpopulated in the next 5 to 10 years? Because here's the thing, and who mostly will they become populated with? I want you to think about that. Let's look at some recent history in the past 2 years or so, right? So we have, 10,000 Afghani refugees come to America, and they put them in all these different cities and states in America, right? Then they just told you in the last month, we had 10,000 illegal immigrants from South America and Mexico coming to America illegally. And then those southern states, I think New Mexico is now Arizona is now getting involved, where they're going to start sending the illegal immigrants / migrants to different cities and states. See, the problem is I'm trying to understand. I know a lot of this has to do with discrimination, racism, unfair practices, all that mess, right? But they kept the Afghanis. They already had Ukrainians to come over here and seek refuge. But guess what they sent back to their war-torn country? The Haitians. Remember the 10,000 Haitians in the bordering city of Texas? They sent their ass back home. But they let all the olive color, light-skinned immigrants stay. I mean, when are we going to essentially realize that anytime we believe or trust or be on the side of one of these political parties, that we're helping ourselves? We're not, family. See, because one or two of us make it, right? If out of 10 people, A half a person make it. That's kind of like the mathematics behind it. For every 20 people, one black person to make it. I don't mean like be a millionaire, rich, famous, all of that. No. I'm talking about making medium income. 1 out of 20. It's something like that. So the chances are less than everyone else's. The opportunities are almost nil. So when you really think about it, it's kind of like, why aren't we voting for our own best interests? Why is it when they tell us about all these other groups, they keep using these trick terms, they keep coining these things, and they're very repetitive about it because they want it in your brain. Black and brown, black and brown, black and brown, black and brown, black and brown. Minorities, underserved, underprivileged, underserved, underprivileged. But when you say, when are you going to do something specifically for black people? They like, well, I think you guys, sometimes you'll get this from them. I think you guys do deserve reparations, you and the Native Americans. Hold up. What happened to specifically Foundation of Black Americans, U.S. Freedmen? What happened to that? Because when I look at each and every other group, they're well taken care of. The Native Americans, you give them part of the financial budget each and every year. They're getting reparations year on top of year. They have their reparations. And then last year, you gave them another $31 billion. So I don't know what the hell you're talking about. The Asians got their anti-hate crime bill. The Asians are the model minorities, aka the buffer class between. It goes much deeper than we can actually fathom, family. They give them legislation and or money, and more times than not, all the kit and caboodle. This administration, it really doesn't matter what administration, whether it be red, blue, Republican, or Democrat. This administration decreased the budget of financial support from the federal government to HBCUs, but increased the Hispanic college and universities budget. Am I mad that they're getting their money? No. Again, my focus is on how this government, how this country has treated black folk ever since we landed foot on this land, whether it be before or after slavery or during slavery. It doesn't really matter. That's what I'm referring to. And then when I start off and I'm leading you guys down a trail, showing you how the disrespect of billions of dollars are going to other countries, then I show you that we have the money in this country to support our people. I went down the water crisis here in America of all of these 12 cities, and there's probably much, much more. It just didn't get any recognition from mass media. Then I show you the richest and poor states it doesn't lean one way or another. It's pretty much fair and balanced or equal of who run these poor states, Republicans and Democrats. Who run these rich states, Republicans and Democrats. But we still want to pick a side. We're in the 8th richest country, and we are the most powerful country in the world. Nobody wants to go to war with us. No one. Then we have the strongest allies. So I really just want you to think about this, family. First of all, how rich this country is and what they really can do. They can give us reparations, right? And I gave out a number, I think it was early this year or last year, but each descendant of North American slavery, supposed to receive a check at some $365,000 if they spread it equally. And I'm pretty sure it's much more than that, right? Because dealing with inflation, money is more. But it's probably around $16 trillion. That figure of 365 came from a figure at $14 trillion. But as I did more research, this country owe our people around $16+ trillion. And see, a lot of people are calling for programs. Oh, you should support these programs. You should do with the money. No. I don't care if your Uncle Junebug is a crack addict. If he's a descendant of American slavery, give him $365,000. The only thing you're gonna do is do it on drugs. The only thing the dudes in the hood. The dusty dudes gonna buy rims. Let them do whatever they want to do with their money. Because I can tell you this, if they were working at Popeyes or KFC or Wendy's, you wouldn't care what they did with their money, would you? Because, oh, it's really not that much money. No, but you watching his pockets. I'm trying to get everybody paid. Yeah, everybody. I'm trying to get everyone paid. But we keep muddying the waters. We keep trying to take a side because they pushing these agendas and propaganda on the Black community, talking about Black and brown. No, they're getting theirs. We need to be looking out for ourselves. Go to some of these congressional sites, Asian, Hispanic. They're talking about who? Asian and Hispanic. I ride with that. You're supporting your own people. You're talking about your own people. It's your own congressional site, as you should. No. You come to the Congressional Black Caucus website. These mofos talking about minorities and underprivileged communities. Underprivileged communities. Black people are not the only underprivileged, underprivileged communities. I just told you that the poorest state in America was Mississippi. There's a lot of poor white people in America. So let's not be fooled by that. So just think about that, family. Really think about that. Because it puts things into perspective. There's a lot of anti-Black racism going on in this country, but we don't think that the racism is connected politically. Why don't we think it's connected politically? Why you believe one of these parties would do something for us? Why do you think they would do that? They have not been. And I told you this before. The Republicans just straight ignore us. They're like, whatever, we ain't doing nothing for y'all. But the Democrats, I'm going to tell you what they do. They give us attention. They give us representation by putting Black men and women in certain political positions. And they give us symbolism. They give us symbolism. They make stories of how this basketball player or this movie actress is doing well. Like, that's not a regular Black person. For the percentage of America that we are, family, we're the most financially distraught. We're the ones who are hurting more so than any other community. And think about it like this. We were the first community here in the United States of America. Don't let no one tell you that you're an immigrant. If your roots and your lineage trace back to American slavery, this is your country. You're not an immigrant. Like, oh, this is a country of immigrants. No, it's not. It's a country where you have allowed illegal immigration, for one, and then the rest, millions of people to legalize and make them U.S. citizens. I'm not against that. I'm against illegal immigration because, again, I told you this before. I'll beat the drum on it. You cannot go to these other countries illegally over the border and them not lock you up and deport you back to your country or just lock your ass up. But we're taking illegal immigrants. This is what the Republicans are doing. We're taking illegal immigrants, right? Then we are transporting them north to all these Democratic ran cities, right? Then the Democrats are not doing the right due diligence. They have to go through a process. So they start their paperwork, they do whatever they have to do. They have to go back to their country until they get cleared, but they're not doing it. They're housing them, money, that costs money, family. And I get it. I'm taking the sort of humane feel out of it. These are people, men and women and children who need support. I get all that. I'm just taking that out for a moment. I want you to look at the money aspect. But you transported them, you use state funds. The Democrats house them, they're using state and federal funds. And then people who are in the country illegally with the program they have in New York, they citizenized them. They made them U.S. citizens. Family, let me ask you a question. When is the last time you robbed a bank, got caught, they held you for a day or two, and they say, go ahead, man, you can take the money. Yeah, go ahead. You good. Think about that. That's what they did. They came across illegally. They came across the border illegally, got caught. They held them for a couple of days, transport them to these cities and states, and they said, oh, man, you good. Let's go and house them and give them some money and make them citizens. Now, of course, the humane look at it is these are families who are probably in dire need of help and support. But if you have a process, just like when you fill out an application for your job, you fill out your application, you say, hey, listen, I need to start working today. And matter of fact, I need for you to front me, $200 or $300. Your employer, like, we're not doing that. After 2.5, 3 weeks or so, you'll get your first paycheck. What I'm saying is there's a process. We have systems in place for this. And I'm not saying we shouldn't provide assistance and support, but we can do that at the border. Someone left me a comment the other day and they said, oh, it sounds like you got Republican talking points, but you say you're not. And this is the problem with us sometimes. We think because, first and foremost, I was already telling you I'm apolitical, right? I don't pick a political side. But when you start speaking a particular way, then people will label you as such. But they're now looking at that this is all about the family getting their check. That's what this is about, family. One, all the money that we have in America and how we utilize it without expenses. Then number two, how these political parties disrespect us in all these many different ways. Damn near everything you can think about, and even entertainment, there's a form of politics behind it. Here's my last example. On your job, whether you own a business or not, but if you have employees, let's say on your job, aren't things political at your job, right? Don't you have to be very cunning in your job, just like in politics, meaning that you don't like Susan, but you and Rob get together, cool, and she likes Rob. So you have to tell Rob something to influence Susan in order for you to get what you need. Politics. Y'all caught that, family? That's how it works, right? And we are playing our part. We're the man in the middle. Think about what I said. If you missed the beginning of this video, family, please rewind it back to the beginning, because we went down a journey. Now, put together some things I think you guys will actually like. You guys have a good one. I'm out.